Give me some of that long. Hard. Rock. What kind of show do you think this is? Geesh. Classic rock, hard rock, and heavy metal from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Plus, stick around for Plug-In, where we support independent artists one song at a time. Take it like a man from a woman who knows music. It's time for RockGasms with Jenn Mitchell. You just heard When Life Goes Right from the Baby's 2014 release of I'll Have Some of That. And what can I say? Life always goes right when I get to talk to John Bisaha. Although if you heard what we were talking about a few minutes ago, maybe you would disagree with that. But John, nonetheless, welcome to RockGasms.
Hello, Jen. How are you today? And when life, it does really go right. It's awesome. And it's going to go right now.
I'm just going to second your thought on that, John. Now, we have talked quite a bit in the past, and during that time we discussed how you came to join Wally Stalker and Tony Brock, as well as the Babettes, in addition to the new guitarist Joey Sykes, all together collectively known as the Babies. But for those who were maybe a little bit naughty, John, and missed out on the fun we had the last time, kind of like right now, would you mind telling the listeners a bit of the backstory on how you were Baby-fied? See, I couldn't resist that pun. You know this.
I love the Baby-fied component. I was approached by an old friend of mine, Mike Hansen, who we used to play in a band together called Hall of Souls back in the early 90s. Mike played with Glass Tiger on that song Don't Forget Me When I'm Gone and had some real success. Anyway, we formed a band together and played out till grunge came, and we all kind of went our separate ways. Mike called me up out of the blue and said, hey, I've got a friend who's looking for a singer, and ultimately we played the name game and found out that it was Tony Brock who was inquiring, and it was the Babies, and I went through about 3 months of auditions, and after the third month or so, I got a phone call one beautiful Saturday morning that Tony called and said, hey, I'd like you to join the Babies. What do you think? And here I am. So been having a good time. That was in November of 2012. So we're approaching now almost my second year in the Babies, which is pretty cool.
So you technically really are still a baby to this, although now you'd be in your terrible twos. And if anyone knows John.
And it only gets worse from here, trust me.
I'm fully aware of that. Thank you.
I bet you are.
But
yes.
I got to stay on point here, John.
No, I have to tell you, though, we have, when we were going through the recording process, and then even after that, we have what's called moan minutes. So we only get 15 moaning minutes, and a moaning is bitching, whining, complaining, or whatever. So, each one of us probably used up a lot of our moan minutes along the way, and sometimes I get creative on how I moan and whine, so it's all fun.
Why are you poking the bear, John?
It's just, it's so much fun. I want to hear you laugh. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
It's been happening all night.
Yep.
Okay. All right, people out there, you're just going to have to bear with us, literally. I blame John. That's all I'm saying.
That's it. It's always my fault.
I know. That's what we always say. Now you find yourself in a place with a legendary band 30 years later with no material in the interim, which begs the question, have there been challenges in getting the public back on board with the Babies due to your lapse? Or better yet, let me think of another way to say this to you. Now that I'll Have Some of That, which is your album that you just released this past June, has been available for about 2.5 months or so, what's been the overall reception of the album?
Most of them have been fairly, receptive to the idea of us coming back. I had a lot of pressure on me because I'm basically replacing this legendary voice in John. And so the reviews that have come back for me have been fairly responsive. I've been happy with the responses that have come back. A lot have said, the Babies seem like they picked up where they left off. John is in me. I'm carrying the torch very well. I add a different element to it where, John had a lot of grit and a lot of pop and a very clean voice. I've got that too, but then I lend and tend myself to get more to the rock side. So my deliveries are a little bit harder than John's were. So we've kind of morphed into a more rocking band than we would call it power pop back in the day. We've sold several thousand, copies of the record. Those numbers aren't really where we'd want them to be. And the reality is we're a 30-year-old startup with a really great catalog, but nobody's seen or heard from us in 34 years. So it's kickstarting that whole engine again, if you will. And through social media, we've done so much. Through the website, we've done what we can. But I still don't think we've reached completely the masses. And we've got a great publicity firm in Chaos Productions with Carol Kay heading us up and been on covers of a couple different magazines and all that that's cool. And so people are starting to come around, but we really need to get out and play in front of people to get that word out, and ultimately if we can get on TV and do a couple things that way, I think that's going to fast track us as well. So all those things are kind of ramping up and getting us to that point, but it is slow go to get us there, I'll tell you that.
Well, I mean, this is kind of what I extracted in everything that you just said, and I mean this with the utmost respect, but the magazine covers that you've been on, really, that's kind of a soliloquy to you just saying you want to be on Playgirl. I mean, let's just be honest with that.
Have you looked into my past? Really?
No, if you're out one, though, I'll take an autographed copy, I'm just saying.
No, no copies of me on Playgirl.
But, in all sincerity, see, you poked the bear, so now this is what you get today, John. I'm just
all right.
Not even trying to apologize for that. But
no.
Going back to something you said in there, nobody, no matter what their job is, you can't please everybody. And there's always going to be people out there that are going to be kind of naysayers and things like that. So when I was promoting your spot on RockGasms today, I had posted a graphic, and underneath it I received a message from someone who had said, and I'm just going to do a quote here, "It ain't the babies without Waite, Phillips, or Kane, ... yawn." So when you hear or read comments that are similar to that, do you view it as just noise, or do you stop and give it any credence?
I can't give it any credence because it's kind of counterproductive to where I am and what I'm doing. I will be honest and say sometimes that stuff bothers me because we're all here to do a job. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I completely appreciate anybody's comments, good, bad, or indifferent. It's all good because at least they've taken the time to kind of listen, or it's caught their attention that the babies are back. I would go forth and say, my mantra in this whole thing is, it's not about me. It's not about Wally. It's not about Tony or Joey or Francesco on keyboards or Holly or Lisa. It's really about the music. And it's about the babies. And there was a brand to it. The brand's been gone quite a long time. The two people you mentioned outside of John, I love Ricky, I love Jonathan Cain. Both of them weren't even original babies. So you go to the heyday of the babies was when, Corby was in the band and Waite was playing bass. Their top two albums really had Michael and Broken Heart, and Michael started head first, and then, that whole debacle happened. They finished the album. So you've got Every Time I Think of You on head first. You've got Isn't It Time on Broken Heart. Those are the two top babies tunes, not done with either of those two guys. So, I'm not slamming anybody who's been a byproduct of the babies. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love the fact that I'm part of this group. Right. And there's a legacy that's been involved. But I'm telling you, there's these bands these days, either the singer has passed on, moved on, doesn't have it anymore. And for these guys that still are viable and great musicians into their 50s, into their 60s, deserve the opportunity to keep playing, especially music that they created 10, 20, 30, 40 some odd years ago. And they're rocking. So why shouldn't they? The fans need to come out, enjoy the music, because at the end of the day, that's what they're getting with the babies. They're getting a show that is played to the record with 7 people on stage. It's not a stripped down show. We're not shirking on anything. We're playing all the sounds. And, doggone it, people like us. It's kind of fun. I mean, we have a really good time with it.
Right. You've made a lot of excellent good points in there, and I'm just going to say this. Darwin said it first. Maybe he didn't say it first, but he actually proved it first, if you believe in that. And I'm going to say it now. Evolution happens. Everyone has reasons for having to move on, like you said. We all take away certain things from bands that we like, whether it be their tone, their sound, a singer's voice, the way someone may be playing the drums or the guitar. I was at last weekend. I got to see the final performance of Jeff Tate's version of Queensryche before now they're officially known as Operation Mindcrime. And then the following day, this was kind of a little mind warp on me. I was at Farm Rock, and the headlining band there was the other version of Queensryche. And sitting amongst people, I didn't really talk to anyone that day. I was more like people watching and just kind of taking it all in. There were lots of groups of people out there that were hating on Jeff Tate and, oh, he's not Queensryche, and that band up there is Queensryche. And here's my thing. I have nothing against either band. I like them both. I happen to just prefer Jeff Tate's voice. Does that mean he is Queensryche? No, he was part of Queensryche. But I'm going to follow his voice because that's really what drew me to that band. That's what I'm saying. Everyone's got their own feelings and opinions on what draws them to this, that, or the other. But I certainly wouldn't begrudge any band out there for giving it a go with the new lineup, like you guys. But in speaking of lineups, though, let's talk about your touring here for a little bit. For bands who have stayed in the public vernacular consistently for decades, have the Babies faced any challenges in terms of booking gigs and getting show promoters behind them?
That's the number one concern, right? We haven't been in the public view since John Waite fell off the stage in 1980, and that's a fact. He left. Jonathan Cain went to Journey, and the Babies kind of fell off the face of the earth. The music lives on, and I think that's where we kind of hang our hat on it. So yeah, we've got several booking agents that are looking for us, and we've had several gigs. I mean, we're up to about 8 or 9 gigs now since last July, so that's cool. But we're still waiting to land either a little mini tour or do some one-offs with some known bands, or just get into the festival circuit. We just played a big gig out in Montana, Rockin' the Rivers, and that was a great gig. 12,000 some odd people that were there, well received, a great write-up that was put out there. The tail end of the whole review was, I've seen the Babies many times back in the day. They're as good, if not better today. Wally's got his signature shtick that he does on stage. Tony's a madman on the drums, and I rock out. Joey's all over the place. Francesco's locked behind the keyboards, but he's a good look, and the girls, do their dancing and do their stuff where they're back there. I mean, it's something to look at, and I think that's what people are going to expect from us, or didn't expect when they saw us, but are now going to come to expect of us when they do see us, because there's a different energy and vibe, and I think it plays out pretty well.
Do you feel that, though being in the Babies kind of pigeonholes you to a certain genre of festivals out there? Because honestly, at Rockin' the Rivers out in Montana, that you played that, last month, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There was a huge range of bands that were there. I'm going to just cite some of them. I don't have time to read all of them because there was tons and tons of people. But Queensryche was there, not the Jeff Tate version, the other version. Blackstone Cherry, Boston, Jefferson Starship, April Wine, Vixen, Lita Ford, Winger. Where do you feel the Babies would fit in best in a festival setting? With bands like that, you can hold your own against the newer bands like Blackstone Cherry and stuff like that.
For us, there's still bands that are out there from our neck of the woods, from our genre, if you will. Cheap Trick is still out there. Foreigner, Boston is Back, Journey, Styx, all of those groups, they're still doing the classic stuff from the 70s and 80s. And, we fit perfectly in those veins, so I think that there's a viable audience for it. And the festivals for us would really be the way to get it done, because I'll tell you what, people were not expecting what we gave them on that Sunday. The write-up kind of proved it. This is my mantra to all you promoters out there that are listening to this. The people, Gumby, these songs are great. They go 10, 20, and in this case, 100 rows deep, everybody singing these songs, and it's just amazing. And again, it's all about the music, and we do the music proud. We do it very well. We've got a lot of energy, and we kick ass on stage. And you know what? With the girls up there and Francesco, we've got a lot of eye candy. So it's all good to look at. It all sounds great. We haven't lost a step. And, it's worth anybody taking a shot and throwing us on one show, because I guarantee you put us on the one show, you're going to have another. The last line on that review, besides saying they're better than they ever were, was, we've also been told that they've already been invited back for next year. The moment we were done, we were bombarded by the 3 promoters saying, we need you back. We want you to headline next year. We don't want you to open up the day. You're going to be the ones playing under the lights. And that's what we deserve. We're worth it. Time to get the ball rolling.
That's what I'm saying. People are still salivating for that. I think, look, I don't walk around with an ego about my show, but shows like mine or of the like that play the 70s, 80s, and 90s classic rock, hard rock, metal, there's still that yearning for it. And anytime that any of us, like when I see a huge venue like that, if I had lived anywhere remotely there or had the funds to get out there, I would have been right there along with that, because we're still hungry for that. And you guys still know how to deliver. It's not like you ever forgot how to. It's just people are sitting there waiting for it. And so, I'm just hoping one day I'm going to be lucky enough to be able to catch the Babies live. Any plans to come around to the Midwest area?
I had mentioned earlier, there's several booking companies that are looking to get some stuff done. And one of them is looking to do a little East Coast or Midwest thing. And one is an East Coast going into New York, Philly, Jersey, maybe hitting Atlantic City and doing a couple things that way. But there's another one that is, they've got wineries. I can't remember the name of the company, but they've got a winery in New York. They got one in Chicago. They've got one somewhere else in the Midwest, and then one out here in California. And they're looking to put us out on this little winery tour where, we'll go and hit Weekend Warrior out to all those places and go get it done. One of them's in Chicago. So yeah, we're going to be close to you at some point.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Well, people out there can get drunk on the Babies as long as you're not a baby yourself. I guess that would be okay. Along with your wine. So, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking I'm just going to let it go.
That's right. I can always rewind the tape and see if you actually did say something. That's fine. Now, I'm going to give a personal shout out here, not just to the Midwest, but to everybody around the U.S. And this goes for all the booking people. All you have to do is contact the Babies directly on their Contact Us page, surprisingly, so you won't forget that, at thebabiesofficial.com to bring the magic that is this band to your venue. And now, if you're really lucky, you're going to hate me, John. John might even do his best Flava-a-Flav impression for you on stage.
You know what? I've got a gold clock and grill being made. So just the moment that that's ready to happen, I'm going to have it in my back pocket ready to go.
I want to see YouTube video of that. That's all I'm saying.
I'll do that. And maybe on my grill, it'll be gold plated, of course, and it'll say "Hi Jen" all the way across. People might think it's saying "Hi Gene," but it's really "Hi Jen." That was good.
I still think you should wear a griddle, though. You know,
griddle?
Wear a girdle, a griddle, and a grill. Try and do that. That's the new
make my pancakes, tighten up the waist, and get it going. You know, maybe I'll do some rap because I've been known to do that in my day as well.
Yeah, I know. I can see you as that. And just so you know, I am the official carb junkie, so really can't go wrong if you're going to go see the Babies in concert. So I want to thank you so much, John, I think, for coming on the show today. It's always quite a pleasure to talk to you.
Oh, thanks, Jen.
You can check out their latest news, upcoming events, merch store, and how to get their album, I'll Have Some of That, through iTunes, and plus all their other albums that are there too, by visiting them on the web at thebabiesofficial.com. Links to all of their social media sites, including Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook, are listed there as well. So don't be shy, people. Go to their Facebook page. Give them a little feedback on the songs that you heard here today. Now, John, I really had a hard time picking another song off of I'll Have Some of That because I really kind of like them all, and you and I went over that a little bit earlier. So, you know, I don't want one song hating me for picking the other song, so I'm going to put that daunting task on you right now. So,
great.
You know, you can just thank me later, baby. It's all right.
All right.
Which track would you like to leave the listeners with of your selection off of I'll Have Some of That?
Well, let's leave them with something that's a little up-tempo. I think last time we talked, we discussed All I Want to Do, which is one of our ballads on the track, and it means a lot. But the one track for me on the other side of that, you know, kind of rocks out a little bit, gives you a little bit of a Zeppy meets Black Crowes meets the Babies feel, is a song called Sunrise and Goodbyes. It's got all the good elements of a really cool rock tune. We got a little bit of custard pie, you know, kind of a feel, you know, with little Black Crowes mixed in. And then we got our Babettes going on in the middle. And it just completely it's a well-rounded song that gives the ear a lot of opportunity to have some fun.
Ear candy from the Babies. And you mentioned pie in there, so you really just can't go wrong with pie.
No.
All right, so off of their 2014 release of I'll Have Some of That, here are the Babies with vocalist extraordinaire John Bisaha, sans his grill.
Yeah, boy!
Here to sing Sunrise and Goodbyes.
Oh, you're too funny.
Me laughing through all of that was...
You did a good job. You do a good job.